The stars stretched endlessly across the void, shimmering like scattered diamonds. Far beyond the reach of human ships, a colossal temple floated, suspended in silence. Its towers spiraled into the darkness, glowing faintly with energy that no human had ever seen. At the edge of the temple, bound by chains of light that pulsed with power, a figure hung, a goddess named Lysera. Her eyes, the color of molten silver, reflected centuries of sorrow. The chains wrapped around her arms and legs were unbreakable, enchanted with the magic of gods who ruled not only this celestial realm, but countless worlds beyond. She had defied them once, challenging the cruel laws that kept mortals under fear and control. Her punishment was eternal, a slow draining of life, a display of power meant to remind everyone that humans were insignificant. Lysera lifted her gaze toward the void. She could see distant galaxies, flickering stars that seemed so close yet so far. Her voice, melodic and trembling with a mixture of hope and despair, rose above the quiet hum of the temple. "Is there anyone who can hear me?" Her voice traveled across light years, though only faintly. Among the humans scattered across the stars, one young explorer and inventor felt a strange pull, a tug at the very core of his being. Kyle, a human of unmatched curiosity and courage, was testing a prototype faster-than-light ship when he noticed an unusual disturbance. His instruments detected energy unlike any natural phenomenon or artificial signal he had ever encountered. Kyle adjusted his ship's controls, following the pull. The stars around him seemed to twist and shimmer, guiding him deeper into uncharted space. His heart pounded with excitement and fear. Humans had always been told that the gods were untouchable, that their power was absolute, and that no human should dare approach the divine. Yet something in the energy spoke to Kale's mind directly, as if pleading for help. He broke through a shimmering barrier and gasped. Before him floated a temple carved from light and stone, suspended in the void. And at the edge of the temple, bound by glowing chains, was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight, and her eyes, silver and deep, held both wisdom and sorrow. Lysera's gaze met his, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. Kyle's first thought was fear. This being was far beyond human understanding, but quickly it shifted to determination. He docked his ship on a small platform near the temple. The chains crackled with energy, warning him to stay away. Kyle knew that if the gods noticed him, there could be no mercy. Yet the voice inside his head, the voice of the goddess, called him forward. "I can feel you," Lysera whispered, her voice barely carrying over the hum of the chains. "No human has ever come this close. Why do you approach?" Kyle swallowed, finding courage in the impossibility of his situation. I don't know if I can help," he admitted. "But I couldn't ignore your voice. No one deserves this." Lysera tilted her head, studying him carefully. Her chains pulsed, reacting to the presence of a mortal. "You are bold, or foolish. The gods will destroy you if they know you are here." Kyle's hands flew over the controls of a small device he carried, a compact energy field manipulator. He had no idea if it would work on divine chains, but he had spent months preparing for anything extraordinary in the uncharted territories of space. "I'm willing to risk that," he said firmly. The goddess seemed intrigued, a faint spark of hope lighting her expression. "Very well, human. Perhaps you can see what others cannot. The chains, they are fueled by fear, by belief in our authority. If you wish to free me, you must find a way to challenge that." Kyle frowned, thinking through the impossible problem. Humans had always faced powerful forces, but never gods, and yet he knew that humanity's strength had always been its creativity, its ingenuity, and its refusal to bow before fear alone. Perhaps that was the key. As he worked, celestial storms began to swirl around the temple. Massive guardians of the gods, shapes of glowing light and metal, descended from the temple towers, their presence terrifying. Kyle's ship rocked under sudden gravitational waves and warning alarms blared. "Stay back!" Lysera shouted, though her voice could do little against the chaos. "Do not let them stop you!" Kyle adjusted his device, focusing a field of energy around the chains. Sparks of light crackled as the energy collided with the divine magic. For a brief moment, a section of the chain glimmered differently, as if weakened. Kyle's heart leapt. This was possible. The guardians swooped closer, firing streams of radiant energy. Kyle dodged, weaving his ship carefully. Using both skill and luck, he launched a device, a small satellite drone equipped with his energy field generator. It floated into the temple air, hovering near the chains. Sparks danced as it pulsed, striking the chains in a precise rhythm Kale had calculated. Lysera gasped, her chains shimmering with cracks of light. It responds to you," she whispered. "A human. You have courage unlike any other." The guardians roared, their forms becoming unstable as Kale's devices interacted with the chains. But suddenly, a massive wave of energy erupted from the temple center, forcing Kale's ship backward. He gritted his teeth, refusing to retreat. "I can't stop now," he yelled, more to himself than to anyone else. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as Kale and Lysera worked together, though separated by chains and space. Lysera used subtle shifts of her divine energy to help Kyle, guiding the pulses of his devices in a way only she could perceive. Slowly, cracks appeared along the chains, and the glowing metal began to fracture. The goddess's voice trembled with hope. "Human, perhaps this can be done. Perhaps freedom is not impossible." Kale felt a thrill of excitement, but he also felt the weight of the gods' presence. He could sense them, watching from beyond the stars, preparing to strike. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and both he and Lysera could be destroyed. Yet he refused to give in. Humanity had never survived by surrendering to fear. He adjusted the final calibration on his device. Light flared and pulsed, meeting the divine energy of the chains. For an instant, everything froze. The temple, the void, the stars, they all seemed to hold their breath. And then the chains cracked. Lysera gasped, feeling the pull of freedom for the first time in centuries. "Human, you," she whispered, tears forming in her silver eyes. "You are incredible." Kyle smiled, exhaustion and relief washing over him. "We did it," he said quietly. "But it's not over. The gods will know soon. We have to be ready." Lysera nodded, though her expression was a mixture of hope and fear. "Yes, the real challenge begins now. You have proven that a human can defy the divine. That is a dangerous thought for them. And yet, it is the thought that can change everything." The celestial guardians were regrouping, preparing for the inevitable attack. Kyle's heart raced. He had freed a goddess, but he had also declared war on forces no human had ever faced. Yet in the depths of his courage, he felt something stronger than fear, possibility. Humanity had never had a god among its allies before. Perhaps together, they could change the fate of countless worlds. As the stars shone around them, Lysera's chains, though fractured, still held faintly. But the first step toward freedom had been taken, and in the void between stars, one human dared to challenge the gods themselves. For the first time in centuries, the goddess smiled, not out of joy alone, but out of hope. And Kale, though just a human, knew that the story of defiance, courage, and change was only beginning. The void was silent again, but not empty. Somewhere beyond the stars, whispers of rebellion began to stir, carried on the currents of light. And at the center of it all, a human and a goddess stood together, daring the universe to defy the impossible. The void outside the floating temple shimmered with celestial light as Kale maneuvered his ship carefully. Fragments of the broken chains floated in the air, still glowing faintly, and Lysera hovered within their weakening grasp. Her eyes, once clouded with despair, now shone with determination and curiosity. Kyle studied the shattered chains, running scans through his devices. The divine energy that powered them was unlike anything he had ever encountered. It was alive, responsive, and attuned to the fear and subjugation of civilizations. The more beings feared the gods, the stronger the chains became. "This is incredible," Kale murmured, voice trembling with a mixture of awe and urgency. "You're not just bound by magic, you're bound by the belief of countless beings." Lysera nodded slowly. "Yes, fear feeds the gods' power. My chains are only strong because mortals accept their rule without question. That is why no one has ever freed me before." Her voice was soft but firm. "If we wish to survive, we must challenge not only the chains, but the idea that humans are weak." Kale's mind raced. He realized the enormity of what they were facing. Humans had fought wars, explored the stars, and built great civilizations, but they had never faced beings who could manipulate the very essence of life itself. Yet, in his chest, a flame of determination burned brighter than fear. I can try," he said. "We'll need to use both science and courage. I can create a resonance field to weaken the divine energy, but I'll need you to guide it. Only your knowledge can tell me how to reach the core of these chains." Lysera's eyes widened, a spark of hope lighting her expression. "Very well, human. I will lend you what I can, but know this: the gods will notice. They will send their enforcers, and they will not show mercy." Kyle nodded. "I don't expect them to, but I also don't plan to run." The first wave of divine enforcers came sooner than expected. Massive beings of radiant energy, with wings of light and armor forged from stars, descended toward them. Their presence was overwhelming, their power palpable. Kyle felt the ship shudder as the gravitational pull around the temple shifted violently. "Hold steady!" Lysera shouted. "Do not let them intimidate you. You are human, and they underestimate you." Kyle adjusted the ship's shields, dodging a blast of radiant energy that tore through the void like a comet. "Underestimate me? They won't know what hit them," he replied, determination sharpening his voice. He launched a series of small drones, each equipped with energy field generators tuned to resonate with the divine chains. The drones weaved through the oncoming enforcers, pulsing waves of energy that collided with the chains. Sparks of light danced across the bindings as they trembled under the assault. Lysera focused her energy, guiding the resonance. "Now! Push harder, human! Strike at the core!" she cried. Kale's hands moved with precision. He adjusted the frequencies, aligning the devices with Lysera's subtle manipulations. The chains quivered, small cracks appearing where sparks of light tore through them. The enforcers attacked more aggressively, firing beams that threatened to destroy both Kale's drones and his ship. Yet, Kale moved with agility, weaving between blasts and using gravity pulses to redirect energy away from the vulnerable drones. Every second was a battle of wits, courage, and calculation. "Your ingenuity, it is remarkable," Lysera murmured, awe in her voice. "No mortal has ever approached this problem with such skill." Kale smiled briefly, though his focus never wavered. "Humanity has always adapted," he replied. "We survive by thinking differently, by refusing to bow before what seems impossible." The resonance pulses began to take effect. A section of the chains shattered completely, leaving Lysera partially free. She flexed her arms, testing her strength. It works. Kyle, it works. The chains respond to your mind as much as mine. Suddenly, the Supreme God's presence pressed down like an invisible weight. The stars themselves seemed to dim as a voice. Deep and resonant filled the void. "Who dares challenge the rule of the gods?" the voice thundered. "Who dares touch the divine?" Kale's heart pounded. "I do," he said, voice steady despite the fear curling in his stomach. "I am a human. I will not let fear decide what is right. I will free her, and we will show the universe that courage and intelligence are stronger than tyranny." Lysera's chains pulsed violently at the divine presence, the energy threatening to snap them entirely. "Kyle, the god senses your defiance. You must act quickly. The resonance must strike now." Kyle nodded and adjusted the field one final time. Waves of energy surged from the drones, guided by Lysera's precise control. The chains groaned under the pressure, splitting further as sparks of pure light danced along the metal. The enforcers roared, realizing their authority was being challenged. They surged forward, but Kale had anticipated this. He activated the ship's counterfield, creating a protective bubble that deflected the energy blasts. The drones pulsed in perfect harmony, striking the chains in synchronized waves that fractured them further. Lysera felt the chains loosening. Her strength, combined with Kale's ingenuity, created a synergy the gods had never anticipated. "We are stronger together," she whispered, almost in disbelief. Kale gritted his teeth as another blast nearly struck his ship. "Stronger than fear, stronger than chains. That's the human spirit," he said. As the enforcers recoiled, Lysera's chains began to crack completely. Sections of the glowing metal fell away, dissolving into light. Her freedom was within reach, but the Supreme God's presence grew heavier, the air vibrating with power. "You dare defy me, mortal," the voice boomed, "and you, goddess, dare betray your kind." Lysera's eyes met Kale's. "Do not falter. You have done what no human has done before. We must finish this." Kale tightened his grip on the controls, his mind racing. Using both Lysera's guidance and his own technological skill, he recalibrated the resonance field. Waves of energy surged again, stronger than before. The remaining chains trembled violently, sparks flying across the void. For the first time, Lysera's wings unfurled, silver light shimmering across the void. She lifted herself higher, testing her strength now that the chains were almost broken. "Freedom. It is close," she said, voice filled with hope. The enforcers, now desperate, attacked with everything they had. But Kale and Lysera's combined efforts proved unstoppable. One by one, the chains shattered completely, dissolving into nothingness. The goddess floated free, her energy radiating across the temple. Kyle exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. "You're free," he said quietly. "We did it." Lysera hovered near him, her eyes shining. "Yes. Thanks to you, human. You have done what no god or mortal could have done alone. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and determination can defy even the impossible." The celestial enforcers recoiled, uncertain how to respond to a goddess unchained by a human. Kyle realized that their defiance had sent a ripple through the void. Across countless worlds, civilizations might begin to question the absolute rule of the gods. The spark of rebellion had been lit. But even as victory settled over them, Kyle knew the danger was far from over. The Supreme God had been watching, and now they would surely intervene directly. Yet, he also knew something vital. Humanity had been underestimated, and that mistake could change everything. Lysera's voice broke the silence. "Kyle, I will stay with you. Together we can challenge the gods' tyranny. But we must be cautious. They will strike soon, and the universe itself may tremble under their wrath." Kyle nodded. "I know. But I also know this. Humans don't give up. We survive, we fight, and we adapt. If we can combine your power with our ingenuity, maybe, just maybe, we can change everything." The void stretched around them, silent once more, but alive with possibility. Lysera floated freely, no longer a prisoner, and Kale's ship hummed with energy and determination. Together they had challenged the impossible. Together they would face whatever came next. And somewhere in the distant galaxies, whispers began to spread. Whispers of a human who dared to defy the gods, and a goddess who chose freedom over fear. The story of defiance, courage, and hope had only just begun. The galaxy seemed different now. Where once humans had followed the stars in silence, unaware of the powers beyond, there was now a whisper of rebellion. Kale's daring had sent ripples across countless worlds. The story of a human freeing a goddess had spread quietly, carried by trade ships, explorers, and those who dared to question divine rule. In the void near the floating temple, Lysera hovered, finally free. Her silver wings reflected starlight as she moved with grace. She was still learning to control her power without the chains that had once bound her. Kale's ship floated nearby, engines humming softly as he monitored distant energy readings. The gods were still watching, but now they faced a defiance they had not anticipated. "You feel it, don't you?" Lysera asked, her voice calm yet curious. "The shift in the universe, the way mortals are beginning to sense possibility." Kyle nodded. "Yes, even from here I can see it. Humans are talking. They are wondering if maybe the gods aren't invincible." He paused, adjusting his instruments. "And they're asking themselves if they too could do something extraordinary." Lysera smiled faintly, though it was tinged with concern. "Caution, Kale. The gods are powerful. They will test this spark, and they will try to crush it. But it is a spark that could grow into a flame." Kyle leaned forward, scanning the surrounding stars. "Then we need to give it fuel. We need to show humans that courage and ingenuity matter. That fear doesn't have to control them. But we can't do it alone." For the next days, Kale and Lysera worked together. Using a combination of human technology and Lysera's divine knowledge, they devised a plan to broadcast the truth across the galaxy. Kyle adapted his ship with long-range transmitters, while Lysera infused their signals with energy that could pierce even the godly wards surrounding distant human colonies. "This will reach them," Kyle said, adjusting the coordinates. "Even the farthest worlds will hear it. The truth that humans are not powerless, that courage and action can make a difference." Lysera's eyes glowed softly. "Yes, but it will also draw the gods' attention. They will see this as rebellion, and they will come. Are you ready for that?" Kale's fingers hovered over the controls. He met her gaze steadily. "We've faced worse than fear. We've faced the impossible and survived. I'm ready." The first signals were sent, traveling faster than light across the galaxy. On countless human colonies, people paused as the energy-infused messages reached them. Stories of Kale and Lysera, of courage against impossible odds, spread like wildfire. Across farms, cities, research stations, and starports, humans whispered, "It is possible. We can challenge the gods." Meanwhile, the gods began to stir. The enforcers that Kyle and Lysera had defeated reported back, warning that the human was more dangerous than anticipated. The supreme god's presence pressed down on the void, and the stars themselves seemed to dim in response. "You dare inspire mortals?" the divine voice boomed, resonating through Lysera's very being. "And you, Lysera, you defy us. You will pay for this insolence." Lysera's wings flared as she gathered her strength. "I have already paid for their fear. Now I will teach them courage." Kyle activated the ship's shields, anticipating the godly strike. The void around them trembled as a massive wave of energy surged toward the temple. He felt the pressure in his chest, but he did not falter. Using Lysera's guidance, he redirected the energy toward the surrounding stars, creating a controlled pulse that dispersed the attack without harming distant colonies. That was close, Kale said, exhaling. Too close. Lysera smiled faintly. Yes, but it proves that even gods can be challenged when mortals dare to act. Your ingenuity, Kale, it is extraordinary. As the days passed, Kale and Lysera turned their focus to training and strategy. Lysera taught Kyle how divine energy interacted with technology, showing him how human innovation could manipulate even the most ancient magic. Together, they built devices that could temporarily disrupt godly power, giving humans small advantages against impossible odds. You are teaching humans to fight in ways the gods cannot anticipate, Lysera said, hovering over a holographic map of the galaxy. It is dangerous, but necessary. Kyle adjusted the map, marking colonies that had already responded to their messages. If we can show them that courage and intelligence can defeat fear, then maybe the gods will think twice before ruling unchecked. They depend on obedience. Once humans see they can resist, the balance begins to shift. Lysera's expression darkened slightly. But the gods will not remain idle. They will send more enforcers more powerful than before, and they may target the colonies directly. You are asking humans to risk everything. Kale shook his head. We're not asking them. We're showing them. They can choose, and they can prepare. Fear doesn't have to decide their fate. Weeks passed, and the galaxy began to change. Humans, inspired by Kale and Lysera, began small acts of resistance, subtle challenges, clever inventions, and secret alliances. Even remote colonies started to question the gods' absolute authority. The ripple of hope became a wave, and the gods began to realize that their power could no longer be taken for granted. One evening, Kyle sat with Lysera near the edge of the temple, watching distant stars. Do you think it's enough? He asked softly. Lysera's eyes shimmered. It is a start. One spark can ignite a galaxy if it is nurtured. You are that spark, Kyle. And humanity, they have more strength than even the gods imagine. Kyle smiled faintly. Then we keep going. We show them that courage matters, that humans can defy the impossible, and we prepare for the inevitable. Inevitably, the gods responded. A massive celestial army appeared in the void, more numerous and powerful than any Kyle had anticipated. Ships and energy forms towering like living stars advanced toward the temple. The enforcers from before had returned, bringing reinforcements. Their mission, to crush the human spark before it became a flame. Lysera's wings glowed with energy, reflecting starlight. We cannot allow them to strike first. Humans are not ready to face their full power. We must be the shield and the guide. Kyle activated the ship's advanced systems. He had spent weeks improving every device, every drone, every energy field. The combination of human technology and Lysera's divine insight created a unique force that the gods could not predict. The battle began. Light and energy clashed in the void, brilliant and blinding. Kyle maneuvered the ship with precision, directing drones to disrupt the enforcers, while Lysera used her divine energy to shield human colonies from collateral damage. You are extraordinary, Lysera said, as one of the drones deflected a massive blast. No human has ever done this. Your courage, your ingenuity, it is changing the universe. Kyle's hands flew over the controls. I told you, we survive by adapting. We fight because we have to, and we win because we don't give up. The clash continued, a dance of energy, light, and strategy. Slowly, Kale and Lysera began to push the enforcers back. The humans watching across the galaxy drew hope from the distant flashes of the battle, realizing that even gods could be challenged. Finally, after what felt like hours, the enforcers began to retreat. Their formations broke, their energy wavering. Kale and Lysera had held the line. The first major victory of humanity against the divine had been won. Lysera hovered beside Kale, wings glowing softly. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The gods will return, stronger than before." But now, humans have seen what is possible. They have felt the spark of defiance. And that spark, it cannot be extinguished. Kale looked out into the galaxy, heart pounding with hope and determination. Then we keep going. We train, we inspire, and we show everyone that courage, ingenuity, and determination are stronger than fear, even when fear comes from gods. In the distance, stars shimmered as if answering him. Across countless worlds, humans whispered of a human who dared to free a goddess. They whispered of hope, courage, and the possibility of change. And somewhere in the void, Kyle and Lysera prepared for the next challenge, knowing that the gods would not wait long to test them again. But humanity had already changed. One human had sparked a fire that even the gods could not ignore, and that spark was growing. The story of defiance, courage, and hope moved forward, unstoppable and brilliant against the darkness. The galaxy held its breath. Across countless stars and worlds, humans waited, wondering if the spark of courage they had felt was enough to challenge the gods themselves. In the void near the floating temple, Kale and Lysera prepared for what they both knew was inevitable. The supreme god would arrive, and the final test of their courage and ingenuity was about to begin. Lysera hovered above the temple's shattered towers, her silver wings glowing with power and freedom. The chains that had once bound her were gone, replaced by an aura of radiant energy that pulsed with life. Kale stood at the controls of his ship, scanning the void for any signs of the approaching divine presence. "It's coming," Kale said, voice steady despite the tension. "I can feel it. The Supreme God knows what we've done, and it will not allow it to continue." Lysera's eyes glimmered with both worry and determination. "Then we face it together, Kale. This is the moment we've been preparing for, the moment that will decide the fate of countless worlds. Humans have seen what is possible. Now, we must prove it." The void darkened as a massive figure approached, a presence so immense and powerful that it seemed to bend the light of nearby stars. The supreme god, towering and radiant, appeared before them, its eyes blazing with authority. Every pulse of its energy seemed to shake the very fabric of space. "You dare defy me, human!" the god's voice thundered, echoing across the void. "And you, Lysera, you betray your kind. This rebellion will end before it even begins." Kyle gripped the controls. "We aren't afraid of you," he said firmly. "Humans have always fought against the impossible, and we don't give up." Lysera extended her wings, gathering energy around her. "You are not just facing defiance, God," she said. "You are facing hope, and hope cannot be destroyed by fear alone." With that, the battle began. Waves of divine energy surged toward them, shaking the temple and scattering debris across the void. Kale maneuvered his ship with precision, dodging blasts while activating drones and energy shields that pulsed with human ingenuity and Lysera's divine guidance. "Keep pushing," Lysera shouted. "Our strength is in our unity, human and goddess, together." Kale nodded, adjusting the resonance frequencies. The devices they had developed over weeks emitted waves of energy that disrupted the gods' attacks, creating openings in the oncoming storm of power. Sparks of light danced across the void, illuminating the massive figure of the supreme god as it roared in frustration. Humans across the galaxy felt the energy pulses. Even from light years away, the signs of defiance inspired them. Resistance movements, secret colonies, and small fleets of human ships moved in secret, ready to support in any way they could. The spark of rebellion had grown into a flame. Kale focused on the core of the god's energy, using the techniques Lysera had taught him. "This is it," he murmured. "We can strike at its power center if we act together." Lysera's aura flared brilliantly, and she lifted into the heart of the storm, guiding Kale's devices with her divine insight. Together, human ingenuity and goddess power collided with the god's might. The chains of fear and control that the god relied on began to falter under their combined strength. The supreme god's roar echoed through the void. "Impossible! No mortal should challenge me! No goddess should betray her kin!" Lysera's voice rang clear, confident, and powerful. "Humans are not weak. Courage, ingenuity, and determination can surpass even your greatest power." Kyle's hands flew over the controls, coordinating the drones to strike with precise timing. Waves of energy pulsed outward, breaking the god's attacks and shattering the divine constructs it sent against them. Sparks of light flew like stars exploding in the void, each one a testament to human courage and creativity. The god faltered. Its energy pulses wavered. Lysera hovered at the center of the chaos, radiating light so brilliant that it illuminated every shadow of the void. "Now, Kale, strike together!" she cried. Kale activated the final sequence. His devices emitted a resonance wave perfectly aligned with Lysera's energy. The combined force surged into the supreme god's core, shaking it to its foundation. Light and energy collided in a brilliant explosion, scattering across the void. The galaxy trembled, stars flickered, and distant worlds felt the shock of power. For a moment, everything was silence, and then the god's presence began to fade, its power broken, unable to control fear and obedience as it once had. Kyle and Lysera floated in the aftermath, breathless but triumphant. The void was still, illuminated by the gentle glow of distant stars. For the first time, humans had seen that even gods could be challenged, and that courage and ingenuity could prevail. Lysera turned to Kale, her eyes shining with gratitude and admiration. "You did it, Kale. You proved that humans are not weak, that fear is not stronger than courage. Together we have changed the course of the galaxy." Kale smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it together. Humans can't fight gods alone, and gods can't enforce fear alone. It takes both to create change." As the shockwaves of their victory spread, humans across the galaxy celebrated in secret and in quiet triumph. Colonies that had long suffered under fear now began to act boldly, inspired by the proof that the gods could be challenged. Ships took to the stars, civilizations began building alliances, and hope spread like sunlight through the darkness. Lysera extended her wings, sending waves of divine energy to distant worlds. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy has seen the truth. Humans are capable of greatness, and now, together, we can build a future where courage and freedom guide the stars." Kyle watched the light ripple across the void, a sense of wonder filling him. A future where humans don't live in fear, where we can explore, create, and protect. That's a future worth fighting for. The supreme god, now weakened and humbled, had retreated into the distant void, unable to regain control over humans' belief and courage. The other gods, witnessing the defiance, began to reconsider their rule, understanding that fear alone could not maintain dominance over a species so determined and ingenious. Lysera turned to Kale, wings folding gracefully. "You have sparked something the universe cannot ignore. Humans now understand that they are not helpless. That knowledge, courage, and determination are stronger than even divine authority." Kale nodded, looking out across the galaxy. "Then let's make sure that spark grows. Humanity has always risen to challenges. Now, we rise together. Together, the human and the goddess left the shattered temple, venturing into the stars. The void around them glowed with the energy of possibility, and the distant galaxies seemed brighter, as if celebrating the dawn of a new era. On countless human worlds, whispers grew louder. Stories of Kale, the human who freed a goddess; Lysera, the goddess who chose courage over fear, and the lesson that courage, ingenuity, and determination could defy even the impossible. Humans began to believe in themselves, building a network of hope, cooperation, and exploration that would guide the galaxy for generations. Kyle and Lysera's bond deepened, not as master and servant or god and mortal, but as equals. Together they guided humanity, teaching, protecting, and inspiring. They were a symbol of what was possible when courage met intelligence, when bravery met determination, when humans and divine beings chose to work together rather than apart. And in the vast expanse of space, filled with stars and possibilities, one thing was clear. The era of fear had ended. A new era had begun, where humans could shape their own destiny, aided by the courage to dream and the will to act. Kale looked at Lysera, a smile forming. The universe is ours to explore. And now, we're free to make it better. Lysera nodded, silver eyes shining. Yes, Kale. Together, we will make sure that every world knows and courage is stronger than fear. Humanity has risen, and it will never fall to tyranny again. The stars shimmered as if echoing her words, and the galaxy moved forward, forever changed by one human who dared to free a goddess, and by a goddess who dared to believe in humanity. The story of defiance, courage, and hope had reached its first triumph, but in the hearts of humans and gods alike, the knowledge remained. The universe could be challenged, and the impossible could be overcome. And somewhere beyond the stars, Kale and Lysera set a course for the next adventure, knowing that together humans could achieve anything, even in the face of gods.